Hey everyone, this is Nat from Wellness with Nat, and this week we have one of my most favourite topics ever, which is metaphysics. And if you haven't heard of metaphysics before, metaphysics is the connection between our minds, so what we think, feel, say, self-talk, what we believe, our beliefs, our innate beliefs that sometimes sneak in that we don't realise we have. It's between all of those and the physical ailments that show up in our body. So I love talking about metaphysics because metaphysics is the topic that I just always had a little fascination for and would always listen to stories. But when I lost my vision in my first eye, so back in 2013, I was like, whoa, better get onto metaphysics of my eyes. And then when it happened in my right eye, like a year or so later, I was like, what is going on? And so it's a topic that, I've been with for a very long time. And as you can tell, now that I don't wear glasses as often, just for kind of reading on computers every now and then, and I'm driving and I'm not using a walking cane. So I promise you that there are many amazing stories about metaphysics. So metaphysics is something that sort of is more of an Eastern medicine concept, but in the West, there is science-based evidence for it. And in fact, there are different clinics around even that you can go to. Particularly in the US, not sure in Australia. But the idea behind them is that, again, it's our stress, the stress on our mind. And if you've done the Creating Calm Through Chaos course, or perhaps other meditation courses, you would have learned that our mind, a thought is just a thought until we hang on to it. And then we keep thinking about it and keep thinking about it. And then it turns into this bigger thing. And then when it does that, we get feelings and emotions attached to it. And then when the feelings and emotions attach to those thoughts, both Buddhism and Western science tell us those thoughts land somewhere in our body. And that's what causes our ailments. So metaphysics is basically the science behind what's happening in our mind is going to manifest in our body. But the cool thing is there's been so much research. So if you've heard of Louise Hay, that's where I first got into metaphysics. Louise Hay is she, back in the day when she was learning about metaphysics, she was working as a Scientologist. And so Scientology have been using this for years. And again, she'd noticed people would come in and she started keeping a bit of a log against what the church's information was. And she realized that, oh my gosh, everyone that comes in with really problems with their neck and shoulders, they've got the weight of the world on their shoulders, or someone's being a pain in the neck. So the cool thing is all those little old, what are they called? Old wives' tales or stories, that your nanny used to say about, different, look at the weight of the world on your shoulder, lovely, or gosh, are they being a pain in the neck? Yeah, all that stuff has actually reigns true with what we learn in metaphysics. So I thought I'd give some other examples. With my eye journey, there's a few different things that come up for eyes, and I'll just touch on these a little, just so I can give different examples. I had to investigate what is it that I don't want to see, and originally I thought it was what I didn't want to see in my current life, or it started happening after my separation, a year after my divorce. And I didn't really have a future plan then. When I was married, I had this great future plan. The whole thing was planned right out. But, you know, divorced now, it was like, I don't know, I'm just living day by day right now, you know. And so I started planning, trying to work out, planning a life that I love to see. Again, using keywords that Louise Hay and other metaphysics people use. And then when that still wasn't working, I realized that, okay, well, maybe it's something in my past I don't want to see. So I went to other energy healers and had a look at my past, was seeing psychologists to work out all this, a great psychologist, this one. And she, you know, we're trying to work this stuff out. And then I found Buddhism, and Buddhism also talks about metaphysics and the mind, because, you know, remembering if, you know, from Buddhism or from another meditation class, again, a thought is just a thought until we add a feeling, and then we hold on to it inside us. And unfortunately, we're all guilty of that. But it can range from anything, you know, it could be, you know, heart stuff, sinus things, ears. And I just realized I think I finished my sentence that, or where I was getting to. With Buddhism and my eyes, the metaphysics behind the eyes in Buddhism is ignorance. So again, ignorance, not seeing something. So, you know, even though there's a little bit different words, they're all similar. I'm like, well, what am I being ignorant about? And I was definitely partially, okay, probably not partially, I was definitely ignorant about my mind and how stressed I was and how anxious I was and how that was showing up in my body, not just in my eyes, but in other ways. So that leads me on to kind of part 2 of the video, which is, you know, what are the hidden effects of stress on our body. So I'm going to include for you guys some slides that I have from my Creating Calm Through Chaos masterclass. And that masterclass, we talk about the hidden effects of stress on your body. And, you know, there's, again, it's all been correlated that the different things that are happening in our mind manifest in different parts of our body. And, you know, what happens on the scientific level is that when we're stressed, you know, we're not breathing properly, you know, you're holding you so much more tighter. And so you're not getting oxygen through your body. That's an obvious one, isn't it? And then, you know, we're also increasing hormones like the adrenaline, the cortisol. You know, we're just making ourselves more sicker with those. Our nervous system, when we're on alert and we're tight, alert being fight, flight, or freeze response. You know, this is, all these responses are because your body thinks it has to protect you. So at the end of the day, your body does all these monkey mind, it does these crazy thoughts because it's trying to protect you, you know, but in order, what it's trying to do is protect you from danger, such as what was around when humans first came around, like a saber-toothed tiger or a bear, you know, so we don't have that serious imminent danger these days, but our body doesn't know that. Our body thinks that when we start to get stressed, that's what it's got to protect us from. Hence the, you know, when your adrenaline and your cortisol spike, you know, that's so that you can get run away from the beast, from the animal. But, you know, if we're not exercising, if we're not burning off that cortisol and adrenaline, then it's staying in our system and it literally poisons us and makes our body sick. You know, another big one with stress is your digestive system. You know, when you're really stressed and you need to run away from that animal, you don't need to digest your lunch. You know, you need all of that blood and all of that oxygen to be getting away. And brain fog, you know, again, you know, you don't need to be thinking, you don't need to be planning anything more than where am I going to get to safety. you know, and that's why stress often causes brain fog, which is why it's really important to do things that relax us throughout the day. So whether that's your mindful moment, or taking a little bit of breathing, or going for a little walk, or just sitting out on the balcony, or sitting out in the garden, and just breathing and just allowing yourself to stop. Scrolling Facebook isn't the best relaxer, because sometimes seeing posts triggers people. You know, it can make you anxious, it can make you overexcited, it could make you want to buy something. You might read a post that triggers you in frustration or something. So, you know, sometimes Facebook scrolling has its place, but, you know, not necessarily the mindful moment. And the great thing is that our mindful moments and meditation and our walk in nature, or run, or bike ride, or surf, whatever it is that you like to do, whole triathlon, that they're the things that are going to reduce the adrenaline and reduce the cortisol. They're going to get the blood and the oxygen flowing through your body so that your muscles stop being so tense and they start to relax. And so that your tummy can digest again, because you're letting blood and oxygen and everything, your whole body is working in sync again. And then your nervous system starts to improve, which improves your mental health. Your immune system works in collaboration with your nervous system. So they again, you start to be healthier and happier, having a better outlook in life. So far I've covered what metaphysics is and how we talk about the hidden effects of stress on the body. I just wanted to kind of combine those again in, you know, just reminding you that, you know, in Buddhism, you know, or even in the group, you know, we talk about mind your mind. So this is all about minding our mind. And when we're minding our mind, we're watching, we're the watcher, you know. And my Buddhist teacher, Lama Chodak Rinpoche, says that in some of his talks. He'll say, you know, be the watcher that's watching your mind. And that's where I came up with the idea for that program. I was like, yeah, we need to mind our mind, because who's going to be watching it for us if we're not watching? And that's because everything starts in our mind. And, you know, you've got my miracle eyesight cure, and you've probably read other stories, or you may even have your own, where when you reduced your stress and started to look at that part of the body, maybe you started journaling what was happening in your life and you took action, that's when we transform things around. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of other cool stories, just to get your mind thinking about this metaphysics stuff. So another one with my eyes. After I had the eyesight restored, well, meant to have been restored, I had the surgery in 2019. For 6 months, I didn't really get good eyesight. I was still needing my glasses. And I'd see my specialist every 3 months. And on the second visit, he's like, your eye is technically perfect. Technically perfect. Why don't you have sight? And I'm like, if you've done your job, it's up to me. And so that's when I decided that it was the power of my mind that was also stopping me from seeing, because I'd had the cornea transplant, and then I had another little surgery to improve that sight, and then I got the shingles virus because I was so stressed about changing my lifestyle. I didn't cope with it very well at all as a very low vision, almost blind person, which is why I turned to a life of mindfulness. And then, you know, miraculously, after turning to a life of mindfulness, a few years later, I get this, 3 years later, I get this opportunity of a gift of sight, but it didn't work. And what I needed to do there was retrain my brain. So what had happened was my brain forgot how to talk to my eye, because I'd been blind in that eye for so many years. It had lost the neural pathways. So I spent one whole summer researching at the beginning how to do bits, And then I'd apply these proven techniques to improve my eyesight. So again, if you've got any physical ailments or problems with your body, internal, external, wherever in your body, with the power of your mind and the right information, we can work at healing them. Another cool story. So one of my favorite client stories in the intuitive chakra world, balancing world that I do, my other favorite job. I had a lady come in, and it was the first time I was seeing her, and we scanned through the chakras because that's how I connect in with your body. And when I got up to her face, oh my goodness, the pain in my jaw was so extreme. And so I asked her, this is what I'm feeling. Do you notice this? And she told me that her jaw has been in lockjaw for so long now that she's actually about to go for surgery on her jaw to get it unlocked. And I asked for her permission to delve in deeper. And, what came up is, what I channeled was that it was her partner, and it was these specific conversations that came through. But, she had me, which was handy, but she could have worked that out herself if she'd known about metaphysics, because again, it's all almost scientific now, So with my eyes, it was, what don't I want to see? What is it? Do I not love the life that I'm looking at? And because it took years, so I was working on in the present, in the future, and in the past. Yeah. And so for the jaw, again, the jaw is around the throat chakra. So where I was working on third eye chakra stuff for my eyes, for this client of mine, she could have worked out jaw is throat chakra, and the throat chakra talks. So the throat chakra is about our communication. So if she'd worked out that it was in this region, taking up this chakra, and then she could have looked at what things resonate with this chakra, and which is communication. And then the other thing you can do, or I like tying them all together, there's two great books that I use. One is called Barometer of the Soul. I'll put the author's name down for you. I can't remember it off by heart. And the other one is by Dr. Irina Webster. She's the lady that I've done my metaphysics training through. And hers is the inner, I think which is the inner language of the body. And yeah, they're great. So you just look up. I've got a sniffle, I've got a sore throat, I've got a blocked ear, I've got a sore left knee, I've got a sore middle toe, right? All the detail. And you look up in the book, and then you go to the right page, and they will tell you the metaphysics reason behind that ailment. And then you just need to do your little homework and guidance on, journaling, thinking about it, meditating, changing your attitude to see if you can change your attitude. That's healed my body. It healed my client's body just from that session, and with her jaw. Once she knew what was causing it, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to change this. I've got the power of my mind. I'm going to change this. And so she worked on herself and her confidence in her relationship, and she never needed that jaw surgery. So I'm sure you've heard of many miraculous healings before as well, and they all stem down to this wonderful thing. So that isn't, metaphysics and the hidden effects of stress on your body. I hope that's helped you, and that's the other part of my work I do. So if you want to have a free chat with me about how that might be showing up for you, or how I could help you with things, let me know. Always willing to help. Have a great day. And remember, mind your mind. Be the watcher that minds your mind.